Afternoon with the Midday News, I'm Errol Lee. Coming up in this newscast, Jamaica joins the world in celebrating International Literacy Day 2015. University lecturer Richard Crawford accuses the government of setting up the JLP, re the Jamaica-Qatar rape case. West Kingston Commissioner of Inquiry to hear explosive testimony next week. And manhunt launched for fugitive who escaped police custody at KPH last night. Now the details. As Jamaica joins the rest of the world in celebrating International Literacy Day 2015, Education Minister Ronald Thwaite says Jamaica has much to celebrate in the area of literacy. He says the several interventions under the Ministry of Education's National Comprehensive Literacy Program were designed to improve literacy and have done so. Thwaite says the sustained work of the National Literacy Team and the deployment of 90 reading coaches at grades 1 to 3 in 450 primary schools over the last 2 years through the assistance of the USAID have reaped success for Jamaica. He says the country's focus on literacy development from a multifaceted and holistic approach is in tandem with this year's theme for International Literacy Day, Literacy and Sustainable Society. However, Thwaite says Jamaicans should not forget that literacy is more than just reading and writing. The rape case involving Jamaican pilot Paul Stevens in Qatar has taken on a new twist, with one University of the West Indies lecturer saying that he thought the People's National Party had set up the JLP regarding the controversial issue. At the same time, lecturer at UWI Mona Open Campus Richard Dickie Crawford is questioning why the pilot is so important to be at the center of discussion between the two political parties.
The story that follows that the young girl came and essentially raped him rather than the other way around is an amazing story. Quite frankly, let me tell you, when I heard about it, I frankly thought that the PNP set up the GLP in this situation. It still doesn't make much sense to me. I don't know if you know, and as a politician you should know, what makes this gentleman so important. This is a very strange.
Crawford says he was of the opinion that those defending the pilot charged with rape was doing so because the trial was corrupt.
What puzzles me about this case, that criticisms of other things can compare to this particular case. If the facts of this particular case are the way they are, I happen to have read the document too, and it answered a very critical question that I had. I thought maybe those who were trying to defend the person that was sent to prison for rape was defending it on the basis that the trial was corrupt. I asked myself, was it a corrupt trial? In other words, that has happened in many courts of the world.
Crawford says the society sees the PNP and the JLP competing for power, and he says this is a grand opportunity for the latter party, that is, for the latter party in this matter being played out in the media.
That must be one of the worst decisions that any political leader could take. And that is my argument. And I'm saying to myself, because the society in which we live, two major political parties competing for power, this would, in essence, unfortunately, be a godsend for the People's National Party. I can't understand why would a leader, whether of a political party, very important, a church, a business, any decent human being, why would you go out of your way? And it's the question I'm asking, why? Who is this man? Is he a financier of the party? Is he a rich oil baron?
University of the West Indies lecturer Richard Dickie Crawford speaking on the evening edition last night. Last October, opposition spokesman on foreign affairs and foreign trade Ed Bartlett called on the government to intervene on behalf of Stevens, who had been imprisoned in Qatar for the past 3 years on what he said appeared to be trumped-up charges. In a release at the time, Bartlett said he was calling on Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Senator A.J. Nicholson to give a full account of the steps being taken to secure the best interest of Stevens. Stevens has since been released and is back in Jamaica. The Ministry of Health says it is now working on draft legislation that will regulate all operators of water trucks. Director for Health Promotion and Protection in the Health Ministry, Dr. Sonia Copeland, says the move is to protect the public from unsafe, untreated water. Dr. Copeland says the Health Ministry is encouraging the public to ensure they know the source of water before they buy the commodity from suppliers. She says persons should seek to use water from the NWC, which she says provides treated water. In recent times, concerns have been raised about the source of water being used by private suppliers who have been capitalizing on the drought. There have been concerns about the safety practices of some of these suppliers. After years of complaints, the Longville Park housing scheme in Clarendon is to get a police station. Recently, residents renewed their bashing of the police and the National Housing Trust, the NHT, which is responsible for the scheme, about the lack of a permanent police station. They complain that the absence of the police has resulted in several crimes, especially robberies, being committed in the community. In response to the recent outcry, a temporary police post was established in the scheme. Minister with responsibility for information, Senator Sandra Fortner, has since indicated that Cabinet has approved a contract valued at $72.2 million to construct a permanent police station. Senator Fortner, who was speaking at a Jamaica House media briefing in Montego Bay, St. James, said the station will enable the police to be more responsive to the security concerns of the residents. She said the police station will be located on 2 acres of land and construction work is expected to be completed within 6 months. Tourism Minister Dr. Wickham McNeil says motorists involved in crashes that damage street lights along the Elegant Corridor in St. James will have to pay for their replacement or repair. Dr. McNeil says the lights, which were commissioned into service in July, are being destroyed at an alarming rate by reckless drivers. According to him, since their installation, there have been about 9 accidents, resulting in several of the lights being knocked down. He says the state cannot be asked to replace the lights which were provided at a cost of $248.4 million. McNeil says after discussions with the police, the National Works Agency and the mayor of Montego Bay, a decision was taken to recover the cost of the damage from the insurance of the culpable motorists. However, the Transport and Works Ministry has been seeking legal advice on the matter. Earlier this year, the minister without portfolio in the ministry, Dr. Maurice Guy, said consideration was being given to charging motorists for the replacement or repair of road furniture across the island. You're listening to the Midday News on NewsTalk 93 FM. It's 9 minutes after 12. As the government intensifies the fight against crime, 60 motorcycles valued at approximately $58 million have been handed over to the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF. Of the total, 10 will be assigned to the Traffic Division, while the others will be deployed for operational purposes. Minister of National Security Peter Bunting said the acquisition represents the largest purchase and deployment of motorbikes by the ministry in many years. Bunting was addressing the official handing over of the vehicles to Commissioner of Police Dr. Carl Williams at the Commissioner's Old Hope Road office yesterday. He pointed out that equipping the force with appropriate tools will ensure that the members are able to carry out their duties effectively. Bunting said that billions of dollars of new investments have been made in the JCF over the past 4 years. These, he said, include upgrading the automated palm and fingerprint identification system, digitization of the telecommunications system, renovation and construction of buildings, purchase of equipment, among others. Tivoli Gardens resident Marjorie Hines is continuing to give her evidence before the West Kingston Commission of Inquiry. Yesterday, she described how she was left helpless for months after she was seriously injured in an explosion during the Tivoli incursion in May 2010. She said she was out looking for her common-law husband who had gone to help a neighbor with a door when she was thrown to the ground. Hines said she continues to feel pains as a result of the injuries she received during the incursion. In her cross-examination under attorney for the Tivoli Committee, Michael Williams, Hines said she has been unable to use her dominant hand since the incident in May 2010. She says she also suffered the loss of the father of her children, who died after suffering 11 gunshot wounds during the incursion. She says since his death, she has been unable to make ends meet as he was the breadwinner for the family. Meanwhile, the Commission is to hear what law enforcement sources are describing as explosive testimony next week about the conduct of the May 10, 2010 police military operation. This after fresh evidence uncovered recently was turned over to the 3-member panel probing the conduct of the operations that left more than 70 civilians and one member of the JFF dead. Yesterday, Chairman of the Commission, Sir David Simmons, said after a preliminary examination of the documents, the commissioners ordered that the authors be summoned to give verbal evidence. One of 3 men implicated in the murder of Constable Lyndon Barrett escaped police custody yesterday in an incident that also left a police with gunshot injuries and another with minor injuries. Reports are that at about 7:05 p.m., the prisoner, Nicholas Tikidala Drummond of Christopher Road, Kingston, was receiving treatment at the Kingston Public Hospital when he eluded the police. The lawmen reportedly pursued him but were greeted by gunfire on reaching Luke Lane in Kingston. A police constable attached to the Kingston Western Division was shot and injured, while another sustained cuts and bruises. Both injured cops were taken to hospital for treatment. The constable who received gunshot wounds was admitted in stable condition. Drummond was listed as a wanted person for the murder of Constable Lyndon Barrett on July 21. Investigators have already charged 2 suspects with the cop's murder. Anyone with information that can assist investigators recapture Drummond is asked to contact the Denham Town Police 948-6443, Crime Stop 311 or 811, Police 119 Emergency, or the nearest police station. In news from the Caribbean, leader of the People's National Movement, the PNM, Dr. Keith Rowley, says he intends to be a prime minister for the entire country as his party won yesterday's general election in Trinidad and Tobago. Speaking to supporters following his 23-18 victory in the polls yesterday, Rowley said he will make every effort to rekindle the feeling of nationalism in Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM won the election, defeating the Coalition People's Partnership PP of Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar that came to power in 2010. The first order of business is tomorrow's swearing in of Rowley as Prime Minister and of the persons he selects as Attorney General by the President, as well as the appointment of a cabinet. The second major task will be the commencement of the 11th Parliament, followed by the presentation of a budget, which has to be passed in both houses by October 31. German Vice-Chancellor Sigmar Gabriel says the country can cope with at least 500,000 asylum seekers a year for several years. Germany expects more than 800,000 asylum seekers in 2015 alone, 4 times the 2014 figure. Gabriel says other EU states should share the burden. The UN's refugee agency, UNHCR, says a record 7,000 Syrian migrants arrived in Macedonia yesterday, and 30,000 were on Greek islands. The migrants, mainly Syrians, are engaged in a long trek which takes them from Turkey across the sea to Greece, through Macedonia and Serbia, then to Hungary, from where they aim to reach Austria and Germany. The migrant influx has unsettled European governments and prompted diverse responses. Finally, in the midday news, Turkish ground forces have crossed into Iraq in pursuit of Kurdish militants for the first time since a ceasefire 2 years ago. Government officials say the incursion is a short-term measure to hunt down Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK rebels. Turkish warplanes also launched a wave of airstrikes on PKK bases in northern Iraq this morning. Meanwhile, at least 14 Turkish police officers died in a bomb attack blamed on Kurdish militants this morning. The attack in eastern Idlib province came a day after suspected PKK bombs killed at least 16 Turkish soldiers in the southeastern Hakkari region. That's news. Let's check the weather now. There's a tropical wave just west of Jamaica. This tropical wave is expected to continue moving towards the west. For the rest of this afternoon, there will be widely scattered showers and thunderstorms, mainly across central and western parishes. Tonight it will be mainly fair. To end the news, the main points. Jamaica joins the world in celebrating International Literacy Day. University lecturer Richard Crawford says the government of the People's National Party set up the opposition Jamaica Labour Party as regards the Jamaican Qatar pilot rape case. West Kingston Commissioner of Inquiry to hear explosive testimony next week, and manhunt on for fugitive who escaped from police custody at the Kingston Public Hospital last night. That's the Midday News right here on NewsTalk 93 FM. I'm Errol Lee. Stand by for the news in the Jamaican language.
Broadcast Jamaican and NewsTalk 93 FM now give the news in the Jamaican language.
Good afternoon. My name is Kadeen Marshall and these are the news in the Jamaican language. Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, gets 60 new bikes that cost about $58 million for help fight crime in the country. 10 of them are go to the traffic division and the rest are go for use in an operation all over the country. As according to Peter Bunting, the Minister for National Security, these are the biggest amount of bikes the ministry ever buy and send out all over the country. Bunting been attacked when he been give the bike to the police commissioner, Dr. Carl Williams, at the commissioner office on Old Hope Road yesterday. Senator Marlene Malou Fort, who are the JLP spokesperson for health, are run for MP in the St. James West Central constituency. The JLP Central Executive are going to tell everybody when they meet up Sunday. As according to Dr. Horace Chang, who are the JLP General Secretary, Fort at the Ungus Madi will apply for the work. Last week, one-time JLP Senator Dennis Meadows were being applied for the work earlier in the year, drop out because him said the party may not take too long for pick a date when people must vote on who them want for work for them. One of the 3 men the police claims to kill Constable Lyndon Barrett get away yesterday from the police. Him named Nicholas Tiki Dollar Drummond and the police claims that him helped kill the constable on July 21st. As according to the report, around 7:05 in the night, Drummond will come from the Christopher Road in Kingston, being get treatment at the Kingston Public Hospital when him get away. The police men run him down, but some man shoot after them when them reach Luke Lane. One of the police gets shot and hurt, while the next one gets some cut. The 2 of them in a hospital. The police asked anybody who know where Christopher Drummond's there for call the Denton Police on 948-6443, Crime Stop on 311-811 or the nearest police station. News from the rest of the Caribbean. The People National Movement, PNM, win the general election in Trinidad and Tobago. Then beat out the ruling coalition People Partnership, PP, where Prime Minister Kamna Prasad Wisesa been around. Some early numbers are show that the PNM win 23 out of 41 seats and the People Partnership win only 18 after them win 29 seats in the last general election. The 66-year-old PNM leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, said party win cause they make changes for suit the people them in the country, them start do new things, them start follow new people and take new responsibility. News from foreign. Pope Francis shows some changes where I'm going to make so that it's easier for Roman Catholic divorce and married again in the church. Right now, the church don't believe in a divorce and them teach that marriage must last until death. The changes where the Pope want to make would make it free for the Catholic them ask one divorce, make them speed it up, and make the church do nothing for try stop it. This would make the bishop them give the people them to go ahead for get one divorce if them ask for it. My name is Kadeen Marshall, and that are the news in the Jamaican language. Wait upon the weather. Now for the weather. One tropical wave the west of Jamaica. The tropical wave are going to continue move west. Now for Jamaica all day weather. This afternoon, we will look out for enough rain and thunderstorm in the central and west parish them. Later on tonight, the weather are alright. My name is Kadeen Marshall, and that's the weather in the Jamaican language.
Broadcast Jamaican and NewsTalk 93 FM just gave the news in the Jamaican language.
The Midday Sports Report is brought to you by NewsTalk 93 FM, life-changing sports radio.
afternoon. I am Mikhail Drama Johns with your midday sports report here on NewsTalk 93 FM, and we begin with football. Reigning Registrar Premier League RSPL champions Arnett Gardens last night handed the University of the West Indies UAFC a harsh welcome to the top flight. Playing a historic first game in the league, UA were blanked 3-0 by Jerome Waits' side, who were playing in front of their home crowd. Despite the margin of the win and a clean sheet, Wade says his side is lacking fitness due to a poor pre-season. In the same breath, he commended UA, saying he saw the potential of the side.
My pre-season, the players didn't turn out for it. As a result of that, our fitness level was a bit low. But I think we have done enough to survive. But the UA team, they really came out and they really played a purpose. And, you know, in the near future, they can be a good one.
Waite admits that his side was a bit sluggish in the latter quarter of the game, but says they have positive factors to counter the fact.
You know, the strive force that we have can still get the job done, and the experience in defense will always prevail.
Voice there of head coach of RSPL defending champions Arnett Gardens, Jerome Waite. Meanwhile, UA coach Marcel Gale admits that his side does have what it takes to do better, conceding that nerves undid his team.
Kudos to one again, I thought they get us less concentrated. But UA team, I think we played better second half. So we see a quality in the team that can get better. So I think we're shaking in defense. I think we just lost concentration. And you know, in a quick moment we concede a goal and you know you lose concentration and cause second goal. The first game, I think nerve get better for us today.
Voice there of Marcel Gale, coach of debutants UAFC. Meanwhile, US Director of Sports Dalton Miles also gave comment, closing on the point that they can now focus on making a rebound, starting with their upcoming home game.
It's the first game. I think there are moments that we played really well. There are 3 laps in concentration and it cost 3 goals. I think if we can concentrate a little bit more, it augurs well for us. I don't think there's anything for us to really hold on our heads. You play the defending champions after 2 months of playing Super League. It's always going to be rough. And I don't think we can count this as something that we should be ashamed of. It's really a proud moment. And now we have our home game and we can start there.
And moving on, that was voice there of Dalton Myers, Director of Sports at the UA Mona. And tonight we'll see the Jamaica Reggae Boyz with the task of winning their World Cup qualifier against Nicaragua by 2 clear goals or by 1 goal if they score 4 or more goals. That will be the job they have if they are to make it to the Russia 2018 World Cup finals, and that's if they want to keep those hopes alive. Head coach Winfred Schaefer, his technical staff and the players are fully aware of the state of affairs, and for that the German is thinking of changing from his preferred formation of 4-4-2 to a 3-5-2 formation that he considers more appropriate at this time. The Reggae Boyz are placed in this position after being beaten 3-2 by Nicaragua inside Kingston's National Stadium on Friday. However, it could have been worse as the visitors had gone 3 goals up before the hosts dug into their reserves and found the character to pull 2 goals back. Meanwhile, the KSA Business House five-a-side competition last evening saw Peak Bottling being awarded 3 goals and 3 points as Pika were a no-show. Meanwhile, in games contested, Sunlight Windows and Doors beat Office of the Prime Minister OPM 3-1, Caramed stopped Bank of Jamaica BOJ 2-1, and Salada were blanked 2-0 by Care Infrastructure. In other games, Daramon Trading beat McKay Security and Spanish Grain Stores beat Jamaica Brawlers. Both those matches ended 1-0. And further afield, the Republic of Ireland yesterday kept alive their hopes of a Euro 2016 qualification after handing Georgia a 1-0 defeat in Group D. Meanwhile, other games saw Scotland falling 3-2 to Germany and Northern Ireland holding Hungary to a 1-1 draw. Now to take a look at track and field. Today we'll see World Championships team captain Asafa Powell and Noveline Williams-Mills lead a strong Jamaican contingent at the IAAF World Challenge meeting in Zagreb, Croatia. The penultimate meeting will have 5 Jamaicans, including Pan American Games 100 meters champion Sharon Simpson, taking part. Today is day 2, and on day 1, world champs shot put bronze medalist Adain Richards placed second with 21.29 meters in the event. Meanwhile, hurdler Andrew Rowley, who won the 110 meters hurdles in Berlin on Sunday, will seek another win. Williams Mills will line up in the 400 meters versus American Natasha Hastings, and former world record holder Powell will seek to add to his 92 sub-10 clockings in the 100 meters and go after Usain Bolt's meet record of 9.85 seconds. As for Simpson and Simone Facey, they will contest the women's equivalent. And finally in tennis, Venus Williams is prepared to end her sister's attempt at her first calendar Grand Slam when she meets Serena in the US Open quarterfinals. The sisters will play each other for the 27th time when they open the Nat session on a Wednesday. 33-year-old Serena has not lost a Grand Slam match since Wimbledon 2014 and hopes to win the first calendar slam since 1988. And that's it for the Midday Sports Report here on NewsTalk 93 FM. Remember, I am Michael Drama Johns wishing you a good afternoon.
That was your Midday Sports Report brought to you by NewsTalk 93 FM, life-changing radio.
This is NewsTalk 93 FM.